Broads Media.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome on in to Sports Talk with Broad. So I just got home from the Wells Fargo Center. I was expecting such a different experience. I wanted to see my hockey team go out there and show some pride. Instead, I'm watching a 3-0 shutout. I'm watching a power play that essentially drains the life out of the building. Those fans, let me tell you something. Those fans were ready to explode. Those fans were ready for a night that was outrageous and filled with piss and vinegar. But instead, I see a team that's getting pumped in shots by Vancouver. I'm watching a team that is getting scored on right off of a defensive zone draw. You lose it clean. It goes right in the wheelhouse to throw it on net, and they're scoring within a half a second off the draw. How about when they scored their first goal? What was going on? How many shots is Owen Tippett going to take where he hits the glass behind the netminder? I mean, what are we doing? The 2-on-1 in particular, if I'm being honest, I don't know if the goalie got a piece of it or if he straight up missed it that badly. I tried to catch the replay up on the screen to my left, but I didn't get it in time, so I have no clue. But it doesn't matter about that one time because I can name you 50 times since the season started where Owen Tippett is way off target. This team was only going to be productive if guys like Tippett scored goals. That's his job. You want to talk about 35 plus this season. You want to talk about maybe in Pepper and home 40. I mean, you can't be 8 feet off target every time you come down the ice. And I like Tippett. But man, now we're already getting a taste of the John Tortorella 2024 because his whole Couturier, fourth line. Oh, by the way, here's your 800th game. You're playing wing. What in the world? I don't know how the relationship between Coots and Torts is going to go. It's already off to a weird start. I don't know, Hathaway's in the box 97 times after the last couple of games. I didn't even get a real chance yet to discuss Fedotov in Seattle. Hey, breaking news, he sucked. He's getting beat with shots that are at the blue line, and I don't give a damn that there's some traffic. He's out of touch every time you throw a puck on net from that distance. I don't want to hear that he's big, and it takes him a long time to get into the butterfly, so he's getting beat 5. I don't care why. I just want it fixed. Or else he can't be getting time. They got destroyed in that second period in Seattle. And jokingly, I called that a must-win. And I say that jokingly, of course. But in reality, you go out west. I want you to come home to your fans with the 2-1-1 record. That's what I demanded. And I got a 1-2-1 record. Now you're 1-3-1. It's not good. Now, once again, jokingly, maybe we get that 10-game damn losing streak out of the way, and then we can just finish with the rest of the season. Because you know either a 10-game loser or a 10-game winner is coming at some point. So let's start the season off with it and then go on a push instead of losing to Chicago late, losing to Columbus late, losing to bad teams last season late, which costed you a playoff spot. They couldn't finish at all tonight. TK on the power play late. Michkov with a sick pass. TK's in the slot. He's got wide open Twine staring at him. He puts it high. Shocker. He hit the post on a breakaway, although outside of the post, which kicked to the corner. So it didn't go post and in towards the net. I mean, it was the outside part of the pipe. So I don't know if saying you hit post is indicative maybe of the sequence. I could be being a hardo right now, but whatever. What else happened? Scott Lawton had a chance. Couturier had a chance. But they can't buy one. And quite frankly, when you're down 3-0 and the Canucks go in prevent mode, because, at one point they were just destroying you in shots, and you look up and the Flyers came back with some shot attempts. I think the third period they started out with a little bit more jump to their game, but you're desperate, right? You're down 3-0. The boos were raining down heavily, and quite frankly, there was a part of me that thought maybe it was a little too early for that level of aggression. But to be fair, we were promised a product this year to build off of last year. You got John Tortorella with, historically speaking, a team that's going to bring the energy. They might fail due to a lack of talent, but damn it, they are not going to get their teeth kicked in the way that Vancouver came here and just hosed you. The revenge factor is always real. They weren't ready to play against a team where they got the win in Vancouver. Flyers got the win in Vancouver. When you play a team so shortly, distance-wise, after you win in their building, how do you come out so flat? It was choppy. I'll say that. Icings, missed passes. The game had no flow to it. If there was flow in the first 5, 6, 7 minutes after the crowd is super loud, they announce the team, everyone's pumped up. It's the start of the Flyer season in South Philly. We're ready to embark on a new journey. The crowd is loud. But there were so many whistles. 30 seconds here, 40 seconds here. It was so choppy. It played to Vancouver's favor. But you get some power plays. Do something with it. It was so deflating. There was plenty of hockey left after that. But when we thought we had something new, and instead of a 3% power play percentage, which is what it felt like last season, come on now. Just think of the flip side. I want you to think if, just to show you the difference. What happens? Matvei Michkov along the half wall. He drags towards the goal line like we saw him do for his power play goal against Edmonton. And he takes a one-timer that is a rip, bar down. You hear the ting that just it echoes throughout all of the Wells Fargo Center. Ting! Bar down! Michkov sellies and jumps into the glass. For as dead and silent as the crowd was, and then the big-time boos, the combined angst, the combined quietness, the combined boos of a 5-on-4 man advantage, you probably can't even hear your brain think with excitement and loudness with the other way. That's how much it swings the emotions of the game. And they had plenty of power plays. And they couldn't get set up again. I'm watching Vancouver do some great things in the neutral zone. I'm not talking just on a power play. I'm talking just 5-on-5. Flyers couldn't really generate. It was a sequence of 4, 5, 6 minutes where I could barely see the Flyers enter the zone with a purpose, enter the zone with a goal, enter the zone with maybe the center guy driving, third guy stays somewhat high, you can get a pass, just good rushes. I barely saw them. They came in spurts. I think over the 60 minutes, I could maybe remember 4, 5. They were there, but you came up empty. You're missing the net. You're trying way too many passes, maybe. The combination of a lot of things. But you have to imagine John Tortorella is pissed because that's not a reflection of the team he wants to be. And now you're staring at 1-3-1 in the standings. Clearly a lot of hockey left, but that's a disappointing start. You have a possible of what? That's 5 games now. You have a possibility of 10 points, and you have 3? 3 points out of a possible 10? I'm not making any excuses. I don't want to hear for a second that there's jet lag. I don't want to hear for a second that their body clocks are not back in place here on the East Coast. I don't want to hear that it's hard to fly to the West Coast to start a year off against Vancouver and Calgary and Edmonton and Seattle. And to that, I say, shut it. Shut your mouth. This is the NHL we're talking about here. Be prepared. Play better. You know, some guys, it's time to go. Let's go. We're about to be 6 games in. Let's go. And not that this specific player is a huge standout problem by any means. I've said recently that Jet Luchenko is hanging in there. And if he's hanging in there, I think that's better than playing for the Storm. And I don't disagree with that. I still believe in that. But I do wonder, now that you're a few games into this, with Noah Cates and Delorier somewhat waiting, the wear and tear of playing at this level on a night-to-night basis, he's in shape. Better than most kids are at his age. He's wired the right way. He can hang. There's no doubt about it. Something that maybe I skipped over and glossed over and didn't give enough time to is, okay, him experiencing night-to-night Quinn Hughes, him experiencing some bigger guys that are willing to get into the corner and, you know, guys down low in the D zone, night-to-night grind, back-to-backs, you name it. It wears you down, and it's a lot. It's a lot. And maybe there's something more to it than I'm giving it credit for. When I hear Danny Briere speak, it's almost written in stone that they're not going to keep this kid up for majority of this. It's the 9 games. He's going to get down after that, and it's probably best. It's probably best to summarize a point that's dragging on for me here. I think it might be best over the long run. I don't think he's been bad. I think he's done more positive than negative, even if he has been out there for a few goals and even strength, and he's supposed to be structured in the D zone and this and that. I still think there's been a lot of positives for a first-round draft pick. Think about Cutter Gauthier. Oh, man. I will say, I think the kid's a stud. But if he doesn't clean up his act, if he doesn't clean up his mentality, it doesn't matter how skilled you are. It's not going to fly. And now the Anaheim Ducks, if the Anaheim Ducks are benching Cutter Gauthier for his inability to focus and pay attention to the details, imagine John Tortorella. Tortorella would say, pack your bags. I'm kicking your ass out of this damn locker room. Go play with the Phantoms. Let me know how Cal Peterson's doing. Let me know how Kolosov looks, because Fedotov ain't it. Sheesh. So Jet Luchenko clearly in a good position. Just what's rolling through my mind. What else is rolling through my mind is how much I love garage beer. The garage is always open, baby. No bitterness. Beer that tastes like beer. Definitely not an IPA. 100% light beer, 1,000% quality. DrinkGarageBeer.com. Make sure you check it out. It's the only beer I drink, baby. And also, welcome on into the channel here at Broads Media. If you are new here, do not forget to hit the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button as well. I really greatly appreciate it. And you can take me on the road with you by going to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any of your podcasting platforms. If you leave a 5-star rating and a review, that will help out tremendously as well. So thank you all so much for that. Last thing here before we take a couple phone calls. What do you think Nick Sirianni would have done if he was on the bench and heard that many people unhappy? Probably would have tried to fight the guy behind the bench, no? Tortorella. See the difference? Just saying. All right, let's take a couple phone calls on the Anytime Hotline. Let's go to Sam to kick things off.
Completely unacceptable home opener. I am sick of this. It's a 4-game skid now. It was a sad effort, and we should be feeling really bad about these last 4 games if we're holding them to that playoff standard. I will. I think the team themselves are, so I'll be right there with them, that this has been unacceptable, and they've got to pick it up from here because they have got to beat the Caps. I need 3 or 4 against them, and I just really need to turn the page from here.
Sam, I don't disagree that this is extremely disappointing, and whether they are a playoff team or another team that just misses the last playoff spot or something like that, here's what we can agree on, right? Because I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. I think they should. I think they should build off of last season. Urson seems to be a little bit more ready instead of getting thrown into the fire last year. Tough spot for him. I think he was more mentally prepared heading into the season to be the number one. That factors into the way that you get your body right. Like, you are the number one goalie for the Flyers this year. Like, there's no sugarcoating it. You are our guy. I think knowing how much time he's going to get this season, he went into the offseason with that killer attitude, and that changes big time how you perform over the 82. So, and another thing out of him, what I want to see is when he does get tested. Last year, he was either, wow, that's a stud, or you need to get pulled instantly. I need his bad games to be more not pullable. So instead of allowing 5 goals and forcing the hands of John Tortorella to yank you, maybe it's 3 goals. Maybe it's 3 goals. Maybe you still lose, but I can't have his downs be that bad this season and that down this season. So anyway, regardless on if they are a playoff team or a just miss team, they're better than that. They are a better team than that. They got steamrolled. They straight up got embarrassed. That's as rough as a home opener. Thinking about the way the fans felt heading into it, those boos were pretty damn aggressive for game 1 at home. I mean, they were pretty damn intense. Almost probably going overboard. Seriously. But you're sitting on that bench. And trust me, I know what it's like to have the first game there. Nothing was like you're at college. You're getting ready for the first Friday, Saturday home stand of the year. You wake up, you get your pregame skating, you hit your pregame nap, you got your meal, you're getting in the routine all day long. Maybe you're listening to music and you're thinking about what it's going to be like when you're on that ice. You're thinking about the plays you're going to make. Here I am. This is how boring of a job I had, but I'm picturing myself skating behind the net, picking up the puck that maybe my goalie left for me, making a nice, crisp, solid outlet pass to my winger along the half wall, watching him chip it off the glass and have our center swing to apply pressure in the neutral zone to maybe start a surge in the O zone. And I would just picture myself making those plays, blocking a shot, chipping the puck out of the zone on the PK. That's what you do. So I imagine all these players got to do it in front of 20,000. The fans are excited. Intensify my feelings times 82,000. And that's how these guys are feeling. And you lay a major egg. You got beat up. And while guys like Farabee, TK, Coots, just in general, Forster even, has been willing to drop the mitts, I wonder if it's time to get a Delorier out there. Just to mix it up a little bit. It's desperate. It's not my favorite style. I'd rather have skill, talent. I'd rather see what Noah Cates has left in the tank here. I say that as if I was running out of fumes, but, just like getting back to that exciting version of Noah Cates. Now he just seems to be more of a guy. And I don't know if, because I like Owen Tippett's game in theory more, Tyson Forster, Matvei Michkov, there's so many guys that Noah Cates, a solid, structured bottom 6 center, is fun and needed. But there's just so much more eye candy now. Maybe Drysdale at the blue line. Drysdale, I haven't been able to see him healthy yet, but at the blue line, he's got some shifty wheels. He's willing to stick handle at the blue line and shimmy shake a little bit. And just to be clear, I am not saying he's even 30% of the player I'm about to bring up, because who I'm about to bring up is special. But just in regards to the way he shakes at the blue line, Makar does that level stuff. Makar does it to a crazier level, but that's what it reminds me of. If Drysdale can stay healthy, like, I don't think he's ever going to be a top tier, top pairing D-man, but I do think there's a lot to what he can bring healthy, I hope. And I do have some blind faith involved there. I have some concerns with it too. So, for whatever that's worth. But there was another point I was getting to there, just about processing your plays. They laid an egg. They got beat up. I think there was something else, but whatever. We need to hold them to a standard of, you can't do that, okay? You can't do that. That's rough. And quite frankly, it's unacceptable. Let's go to Sean. Let's listen to Sean.
Yep, shitty effort by the orange and black tonight. I mean, it's a shame that, you had a sellout crowd, a packed building, and they were treated to that lackluster performance because really, other than Sam Ersson, nobody showed up. I mean, how many open nets can you miss? How many posts can you hit? Just, but again, we know what this team is. This year is all about Mitchkov, letting him get acclimated to the National Hockey League and display some of his skill set. But until he gets better players around him, which probably isn't going to be until starting next year, it's going to be a struggle for him and the team. They'll work hard, they'll give an effort most nights, but they're just not talented enough to overcome 2 to 3 goal deficits. A lot of defensive issues, lots of breakdowns, not a lot of physicality on the back line. I really think they miss a guy like Nick Seeler, who blocks a lot of shots, who will play physical, drop the gloves when needed. I think his absence is showing, but just again, a wretched effort tonight. Real uninspiring effort by the Flyers.
That actually ties together perfectly with what I thought I forgot about, if I remember correctly. I was talking about like the fourth line, Deloriers of the world. Maybe it's time to see if something can spice it up. And you bringing up Nick Seeler now. I don't know exactly where he lands right now with that injury. He missed some time there at camp, and I don't exactly know. I feel the last I peeked in, it was trending in the right direction, but I don't know. So I guess we'll keep an eye out for that. But the decor, there's been some roughness for sure, whether it's Sanheim and York. I mean, you have a game where your top D pair is -3, -2. Those guys getting beat up like that, it's rough. And I saw Zamula and Ristolainen, and I saw a shift where, was it Paling, threw a behind-the-back pass in the offensive zone to nobody in the middle of the slot. It gets turned over, and then Vancouver goes for the rush the other way. There was a stop by the Flyers on the rush the other way. Here comes Ristolainen with the counter, and he's trying to dangle 2 people in the middle of the ice. I mean, what are we doing here? Paling no man's land behind the back pass spinorama, and Ristolainen trying to dance. I thought Ristolainen and Zamula at times made me nauseous. I saw Tortorella mixing up the lines a little bit, trying to find something that could kick him in the ass. And yeah, I think there's something to Sealer. Now, ultimately, those type of players have a ceiling, and if you're relying on the Sealers of the world, even in a specific role, I think Sealer's fine as a 7D man, but if we're sitting here begging for Nick Seeler or begging for Delorier, which I did previously to Sean's call, well, then maybe it tells you everything you don't want to know. Which is, dude, you stink, because good teams aren't begging for them. But I don't think they stink. They don't stink. They're just not good enough. And maybe my expectations are too high because of what last year went like. They're There's something to be said about coming into a season with different expectations. It's easy to go in saying nobody doubts, or everybody doubts us, Nobody believes in us. Let's prove them wrong. What happens when there is a sense of, yo, this team should be more competitive? Hey, these guys should take certain steps forward. Forster. I was going to say Michkov, but to the point of the Michkov stuff. So Michkov has been dishing a lot of great assists out there. Travis Konechny, we could say about lack of talent, but when you find TK in the slot with the man advantage, and there really was a lot of net that was wide open, that's got to be a berry. Michkov should have had 4 or 5 assists. He could have 8 points already instead of the 2 goals and the 1 assist. Does he have 3 unless I'm missing one? But 3 come to my mind. 1 was to Morgan Frost. I guess you can make the debate on how good Morgan Frost is. He won me over a little last year, but I'm starting to wonder why. It's unbelievable. I'm so sad that that's the effort we got. Truly. All right, I'm going to go to Amadeo. This call was after the game in Seattle. So we'll reflect back on that Seattle loss, that second period. They did pull Fedotov, and then they played inspired with a push to not go out without a fight, if you want to credit them for that. That did happen, though.
Goaltending coming into this season was the biggest question mark for the Flyers this year. We all know how much it badly hurt them going down the stretch, and that's why they collapsed last season. Harry Simmons ran into the ground, and there was no reliable backup. Well, it looks like we're in that goddamn situation again because Ivan Fedotov fucking sucks. He is putting up Cal Peterson-worthy performances.
Oof.
My God, we could talk about how there were situations in tonight's game where there was no fight back. They wouldn't go after certain guys after, Konechny gets hit, after Michkov gets hit. But you know how deflating it is when your goaltender in net is allowing just routine shots to go easily by him. There was one goal that Fedotov had no chance on, and that was the one-timer goal on the defensive breakdown, the cross crease. He had no chance at that. But every other goal, he had a chance at. This man, he plays so deep in his net. You can't use the excuse of screens. There was no deflections. The man's 6'8", 6'9", whatever the fuck height he is. The dude is going to be able to see the puck. How do you let those routine blank point shots just cleanly beat you every single time?
It's a good question. I am scared every time he's in the net at this point, and it looks to me like the man has no confidence at all. And if you want to keep Urson as fresh as humanly possible, but still use his skill set to your advantage by playing him a ton, you need a competent backup. You need someone who can eat minutes. There is something to be said about having a guy that you can rely on so you don't run into a situation where your number one starter runs out of straight up fuel. One point that you brought up that I think is excellent is the non-response to Michkov, to TK. Do they want Farabee and Forster and some of these young kids to be fighting? I brought up Corey Perry having a haymaker or an uppercut that just missed Joel Farabee's chin. I don't need you taking those shots. So people are going to be taking runs at Michkov or at TK. I don't really want TK to be in a position to be breaking his hand or missing time because of a fight. I need him out there scoring goals. So does Delorier and Nick Seeler make sense? So we just talked for 26, 27 minutes? And my takeaway by the end of it is we need more goons? What the hell happened to me? Can't even process it. All right, with that, it's probably a perfect time to shut this thing down. I need to go to bed. Jesus, the hell is going on here? Appreciate all you guys to death. I love you, and I'll catch you all on the next one.